单的辛德拉一些方面也会选择去带这个英雄。
对，
直接逼大龙，直接逼大龙了，逼掉很近了，大龙还是在那边。
欢迎来到我们的赛后采访环节，我是主持人于双，也是有幸邀请的。
慢点。移动在有比较大领先的情况下，出现了一些生人。
选手们在各自的俱乐部都已经摩拳擦掌，准备比赛。虽然说是线上赛，但召唤师峡谷从来不缺少精彩，让咱们共同期待吧。
有了。
LPL， 加油！
加油！
加油！加油！加油！
谢谢你们的守护，
谢谢你们的坚持，
谢谢你们的速度，
谢谢你们，
此刻敬英雄。
At the start of spring 2020, a pandemic forced us to change our way of life. People all over the world are affected by the virus. This is a fight beyond just esports. Countless heroes are fighting in the front lines. The story of the LPL only continues because of their selflessness. From 2013 to 2020, every spring final has been a legendary chapter in the chronicle that is the LPL. Winners lifted the trophy with pride after putting it all on the table. With the LPL's recent international success, the LPL Cup means more than ever. Today, we have a new trophy to be lifted. A trophy that brings with it legendary status. Let's take a look back at all that led to this moment and get ready for the crowning of a new king.
就让我们回顾往昔春决的荣耀时刻，翘首期盼下一位春季王者的诞生。
的团队执行力实在是太恐怖了。他们抢了，刚刚抢到大龙，计划了没有什么机会了，摧枯拉朽。新的队伍到拿冠军仅仅一个赛季的事情，恭喜JDG！
场场站了起来！
谁才是中国第一大爷？
还有 A 出来 ，A 出来的潘家天无杀！
恭喜JDG！这个感觉要炸了！这个双叉跟上来，哎，对你的前面有先这个拿了一个车架，恭喜
2秒，又创造了一个新的冠军。
没错，我们欢迎新黄焖鸡。
西野这波打得太完美了，展现一技能对自己的伤害非常的自信，这样的话可能会一波结束吗？
恭喜 WE！
The throne is waiting for its new owner. Our warriors are ready to fight. Can Top Esports beat their fierce rival and claim the crown? Now, please welcome Top Esports. Sub support, Chocho. Support, Yu Yanja. In the top lane, 369. In the jungle, 2018 MSI champion, Karsa. On the bottom side of the map, the 2018 world champion, Jackie Love. And in the mid lane, the 2019 LPL Spring Summer Split MVP, Knight. Welcome again, Top Esports. On the other side of the rift, returning to the spring finals, they are no longer the dark horse. They made it to the finals through a dominating win streak. I give you JD Gaming. The substitute top laner, 705. In bot lane, Loken. The mid laner, Yagao. In support, Lumao. The jungler, the 2020 LPL Spring Split MVP, Kanavi. The top laner with 19 straight wins this split, Zoom. Welcome to the finals, JDG. As spring comes to an end, I hope you all play to your full abilities, leaving no regrets on this stage. The 2020 LPL Spring Finals will begin. Thank you again to our heroes.
Saturdays, locked up in the cage with all my thoughts, twisting words until the tighten knots. Now I know. You're just a number to me. I ripped your picture from the frame, and now you're just a name.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the 8th year of the LPL. The 15th LPL trophy will be lifted by the end of today. Welcome to the analyst desk for the Spring 2020 LPL Finals. My name is Munchballs. I'll be joined by Dagda. And as you've seen from all those videos, this is a league full of legacy. We're the new guys on the block, Dagda.
I know, but what a split to be a part of. It's been a little bit topsy-turvy, but this has definitely been a split defined by upsets, both in the regular season and in our playoff bracket.
Yeah, and speaking of the playoff bracket, we can take a look at some of the upsets that have been coming on through and the path that these two teams took to make it to our grand final. Most recently, the 3-0 for FPX over IG, but it's JDG up against Top for our final.
And what an incredible performance from both of these squads to find themselves in our grand final. There was only one person who had Top Esports on their list to make it all the way here, Munch, and that was you. But I think still a lot of people will be surprised to see both these teams here today.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really expect the way that they managed to do it with last-minute substitutions and all the kinds of shenanigans that we'll go into in a moment. But before we go into the nitty-gritty of each of these teams, I want to let you guys know that this will be the 4th split in a row now in the LPL where we have a different champion. 4 splits, 4 champions. We started in summer 2018. RNG took the title. In 2019 spring, it was IG that stepped up forward. And then summer 2019, we all know that FPX dominated.
And the thing is, neither of these teams have ever hoisted the cup themselves. So this will be a new organization here to raise the trophy and pen their name beside the greats of the LPL. But it is a story of broken dreams for both these squads.
It certainly is. When you look at JDG, they lost to IG in 2018 in the semi-final. Once again in the finals of 2019 summer. Before, in 2019 summer, they never even made it to the playoffs.
And that's where we look over at their opponents today, Top Esports, who've only managed to make it as far as the 3rd place playoff, falling in the semi-finals in both spring 2019 and summer 2019. Once again, though, one of these teams here today will have to taste defeat.
And we'll have to see which one of those teams will have that bitter taste in their mouth at the end of the day. But the other will be our spring LPL champion. But I want to talk about the two teams and the way that they've developed across the course of this split, because it feels like a story of brain versus brawn. That's certainly where these teams have evolved into. And especially when you talk about JDG, they are by far the smartest team in the LPL, the most calculated of our squads. But over on the side of Top Esports, this is a team that just has raw star power.
Yeah, when we look at the evolution of both these squads, they've taken different routes to get here. As you said, JDG have evolved from the Mosh Pit team. They used to be all about this let's party mid lane, but now instead utilizing the map pressure that they will create, the tempo advantages that they have to set themselves up for success in the early game. But when we look across at top esports, they have doubled down on what made them such a potent team in the LPL, going off of sheer star power, outperforming, outplaying their opponents, and with JackeyLove being added to the team, that's what you can expect here on the Rift.
Yeah, JackeyLove changed things up for sure, but let's start by talking about our second seed, JD Gaming, coming into this final. And when you look over the roster, you think back to 2018. This is the same roster that came in, but Loken had a bit of a hiatus from JD Gaming. In 2019, he spent the year over on Top Esports, the team he's up against now in the final.
But when you look at JD Gaming, you have to talk about the Dumpling Brothers. Zoom and Yagao are one of the most dominant solo lane duos in the LPL. Since Zoom's return to the roster, JDG have not lost a single game. His ability to find the perfect engages in team fights is second to none, and he's often miles ahead in gold come the 15-minute.
Yeah, I mean, Zoom has looked insane for sure, but I want to talk about Yagao because the man is a monster, and he is easily the most underrated mid laner in the whole LPL.
Well, look, 9 games undefeated on LeBlanc at 26 KDA. This man's ability to find picks is insane. The Dumpling Brothers control the top side of the map, facilitating Kanavi to play his unique jungle style. And that's why we see, when you look at that graphic, such similar First Blood participation. They are focused on working together to set up Kanavi for those early kills.
And Kanavi is the key to all this. I think you said it best during the semi-finals, that Kanavi he's the secret sauce to this Dumpling Brother domination. And when we talk about Kanavi, I mean, this guy is the carry from the jungle.
Spring Split MVP, highest damage percentage of any jungler, highest goal difference of any jungler. Kanavi will be the secondary AD carry for JDG on his Kindred, dictating the pace of the early game. The reason Kanavi is able to be so successful is the ability of the Dumpling Brothers to play around him, using lane advantages to help Kanavi invade. As you saw in just our clips there, gifting him overkills to start him snowballing. Kanavi has found the perfect team to help him shine above all others.
And when we talk about JDG, this is how they get the ball rolling. This is how they set it up in the early game. And Kanavi, obviously, the 2020 Spring Split MVP, no less. He's one of those major factors. But it's really around the mid game, around the late game, that we see the true beauty of this team. It's the macro play that they bring to the table that really sets them apart. From the rest.
And it's off the back of Kanavi's success. When you look towards how this guy likes to play, yes, he does facilitate the lanes, get in, gank a little bit, but it's mostly the farming style, getting this large gold lead by taking his camps, the enemy's camps, whatever the hell he can. And that's why he ends up with double the CS of anyone else when you look towards how big of a lead he garners for himself in the game.
Yeah, and you guys at home, you got to keep your eyes on Kanavi, because we're describing him as a farming jungler, but it doesn't feel that way in a lot of these games. We'll see how that's going to look in our finals, but they have opponents to take down as well. Top Esports are no slouch, and we can have a glance over their roster. And I know a lot of you at home are already putting your eyes towards JackeyLove here, but I want to first look towards the mid lane, because Knight is the man this roster was built around. His mouse and keyboard may be backwards, but his play sure isn't. The golden left hand himself is very much the core of this squad.
Knight is the best mid laner in the world to never make it to Worlds. There's a reason he's been awarded the most MVP performances since he joined Top Esports in spring 2019. Either through killing you or beating you back and taking a CS lead, Knight will reign supreme in lane, feeding his ability to take over team fights on champions like Syndra and Zoe. This series is going to be where Knight wants to write his names in the LPL history books.
Knight is just, he's separate from the crowd. I mean, you said it just there, the 44 MVPs since spring 2019. 1 year, 44 MVPs across games. That is just unbelievable.
And 26 solo kills. The only person he's second to is Rookie, but there's a reason Knight is the one in the finals here today. Knight has been unstoppable for Top Esports, and now we'll like to see him continue that domination here today.
All right, well, I'm going to move the conversation on to, I think, what a lot of people at home want to hear, because Dagda, do you have a moment to talk about our Lord and Savior JackeyLove? Because the man down in the bottom lane, he joined just under a month ago, and since that fateful day, he has changed everything.
He's brought his shot-calling magic to Top Esports, and with this, Top Esports look unstoppable. The ability of this team to outperform and outplay their opponents was already sky-high, and now you add one of the best team-fighting AD carries to the roster. It's a no-brainer why this team is in the finals. especially with the lane dominant styles of Knight and 369. JackeyLove already feels right at home on this roster, and we will be looking to add another domestic championship to his trophy case.
Not only to add it to his trophy case, but he wants to deny it from JDG once more. Summer 2018, JDG lost in the semi-finals to JackeyLove. Spring 2019, JDG lost in the finals to JackeyLove. Spring 2020, can JackeyLove once again deny JDG their moment in the spotlight?
And look at some of these stats right here. 208 DPM over his opponents. His 31% damage is why Top Esports have been so successful. And even when we look at his ability to get solo kills, the highest in the LPL for AD carries is 9. In the brief stint JackeyLove has been here, he's got 6 already.
JackeyLove he's a machine. He's an absolute machine. And it's the shot calling that I really want to highlight here, because his voice on this team has transformed Top Esports from the regular split. But now that we've discussed the teams a little bit, let's get into what the expectations are for this series and put our money on the table here with some predictions. Because I know where I'm going. I've been going for Top Esports since before the split began, and I'm sticking to my guns. 3-1, I reckon, in favor of Top.
I'm on the opposite side. I'm 3-1 on JDG. I think the turnaround performance that JDG have had over this split just puts them so far ahead. They look unstoppable, whether it's with this early game macro calling or if it's going to be instead just team fights galore.
I mean, you can listen to this charlatan if you want, ladies and gentlemen, but what I think is going to happen is Top Esports are not going to allow this controlled level of gameplay that JDG wants. They're going to bring chaos. They're going to bring fighting non-stop, and they're going to force JDG to fight at their level. We'll see who's going to be right, though. It's going to be me. Let's take a look at our lineups as we move into our finals. We can head over to our stage as well. We've got Zoom, Kanavi, Yagao, Loken, and Lu Mao. This is the squad that has been undefeated for 17 games.
And then we will look over across at their opponents here today. Top Esports will be going up against them, but JDG have been looking absolutely stellar in their performances. We talk about the success of the jungler, we talk about the success of their solo laners, and especially with Loken coming back into the roster with Lu Mao down on that bottom side, this team looks set to take on the world.
Yeah, over towards the side of Top Esports. We've already mentioned JackeyLove and Knight coming in. Interesting that they're bringing Chocho for the first game here. They've been playing a lot with Yuyanja earlier on in the split. JackeyLove has preferred to play with Yuyanja, but clearly, preparation coming into this series, they've decided that Chocho is the way forward.
And it is a surprise, as you said, they played with Yuyanja in their semi-finals to get themselves here, but Chocho does offer that veterancy to the squad. Was an AD carry on Dan Gaming and Top back in the day, then moved over to the support role. So definitely going to be looking to facilitate JackeyLove's success in that bottom side of the map.
We'll see if he's going to be able to do precisely that, whether or not they're going to be able to get ahead. But let's take a look at the head-to-head between these two teams, because a lot of it goes the way of Top Esports.
Yeah, it ain't looking too pretty for JDG, but this is the old JDG. This is where we don't have this same mosh pit style anymore from the squad, but still Top Esports with an incredible record up against their opponents.
Yeah, worth mentioning this is during the regular season as well, and there was a lot of fat old goose eggs there for JDG. But now, when we take a look at some of their statistics across the game, this sheds a little light on how they play.
Yeah, I mean, this is where you want to look at how do these teams both perform. And you can see there the goal difference at 15 since Zoom has come back into the roster. 2,000 gold ahead for JDG.
And look at the bottom there, Baron power play gold. 4,000 for JDG. When they get Baron, this is what I was talking about before. Their macro in the mid and late game, when they get a lead for themselves, they will roll that forward and not let you get a single thing back.
JDG have an 88% win rate when they're ahead at 15 minutes. They are nigh on unstoppable when they get that lead. But we do have to look across the board as well, because as you talk about it, Top Esports are easily able to snowball as well. They've got an 81% lead when ahead of that 15-minute mark. And this is where we start to see that dominance come through from both these squads. And if they do get ahead, they will be damn sure not to let that go.
Oh, they certainly will. And you can see the players getting ready. There's Caster there warming up for the game, ready to jump on in. I'm excited to see how Caster's going to do when he gets onto the stage as well. Because bear in mind, Caster, he's a player with a ton of international experience. But when it comes to the jungle, he's up against Kanavi today. That is a matchup and a half.
especially with the way JDG played towards Kanavi. It makes it so difficult to play against him. His first blood participation is 83% for JDG, so Karsa will need to try and dictate the pace of this early game, get Kanavi off some of these comfort picks like the Kindreds, the Silases, and see if Karsa instead can find the impact he wants, which is towards that mid and top lane.
That might be easier said than done though, because Kanavi, he's got these comfort picks, but he has a very wide champion pool as well. There's a lot of different things that he can go for when it comes to the draft. He can play the meta stuff too. That's the most important thing. Yes, we do see things like the Nidalee and the Kindred, but that's not all we see. We see him playing this standard meta junglers as well. So when it comes to that matchup, my big question is, how will Karsa perform compared to the regular split? Because now that Jackie Love's in the roster, it feels like a new Karsa, but there's still a little bit of roughness around the edges.
There is. There's some mechanical mistakes that are really weird to see from Karsa, especially as we said, that 2018 MSI champion. But he has looked stellar and will be looking to have impact towards Knight and 369.
It's about time to find out how this one's going to go down. It's about time that we kick off our spring finals. Ladies and gentlemen, you can join me as we head over to our casters and begin these finals.
Thank you very much, gents, and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, here to the casting stage. My name is Hysterics. I'm going to be joined by Lyric to take us through this best of five between JDG and Top Esports. And I have to say, these two teams, no one would have expected them to make it over the world champions of 2019 and 2018.
Unexpected is a good word, but I like how you put that, over the world champions, because both of these teams had to beat world champions to get here.
And for JDG, you know, it's their second final here, second in a row here in spring, 2019 spring, and now for Top Esports, their first grand final. And for some of our players here as well, Lyric, we've got some newbies in the, well, not newbies, but newer players to make this entrance here in the grand final.
It's going to be really interesting because our star player on both sides has never been in a final.
Yeah.
Knight, Kanavi, and a final is a completely different beast.
You got to remember, it's a best of five here, best of five where these players have already played one or two to get to this position. On JDG's side, against FPX, to reiterate there, against IG and WE here for Top Esports, the journey has been made as we head towards pick and ban here to start the grand final off. And I'm going to say finally, I've been waiting for this one, Lyric. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome as we go into game number one.
Yeah, and really interesting to see that JDG are on the blue side, so we already see a lot of bans targeted at Knight. I was actually interested to see if they would opt for the skill matchup in the Syndra against LeBlanc, but doesn't matter. Zoom going to get on that Ornn pick, which he's looked amazing on.
Straight away, we accelerated our pick and bans here in the LPL. Just a side note as well, remember it is 10.7 here for our grand final. That means no Wukong and no Fiddle throughout the day. So you're not going to see that one come up for Lumao, but on the side of Top Esports, they've started batting away 80 carries, and they're looking at one themselves.
Yep, Aphelios and Misfortune are really the only priority picks left open. We don't see a lot of Senna here in the LPL. What I want to see is, does Karsa go towards that Lee Sin here? It was such a crucial pick for him in the previous best of fives, but instead going to opt for the set.
Already feels like a change here from Top Esports.
Yeah, and we haven't seen set all that much. 369 has actually only picked it up once, and neither support has played it.
Look towards JDG now, because seeing a change from Top Esports draft on the blue side for JDG, we talk about securing a bottom lane here a lot in the LPL.
Again, I'd expect it to be the Misfortune. She's so strong in lane. Loken's looks so good on it, had 6 games. And then here, I think you can just opt into blind picking your jungler.
Yep.
We do still have the Jarvan open, but I was going to say, that's actually not really Kanavi style.
Oh, but man, we got a story here for Yagao. Undefeated, 9 games played here on this LeBlanc. He has not lost a game in spring with this mid lane match.
No, and he's looked great on it. But on the other side for Knight, he's played so many champions this split. You have a lot of good answers that can play against that, whether it's something like a Galio, Lissandra, a Kassadin. Knight just has so many tools in his kit.
I think this is going to be one of them here with Lissandra locked in. Lyric, I know you've talked about this a lot. Neutralizes the lane here. That's what you need to do against Yagao, because he starts snowballing these lanes, and he gets ahead and he can't stop.
Yeah, and we've already kind of seen both teams flesh out a bit of what we know them for. Top Esports is all about getting these lane matchups that they love. Yeah. And on the side of JDG, they're already starting to build this comp that can either play front to back, but also has a lot of side lane pressure from that LeBlanc.
So I'm looking up towards bans now, because I was expecting to see maybe something towards what's left open. The Brom's going to be banned away by JDG. We're going towards supports here for both teams instead.
Yeah, and kind of interesting since Chocho really does change that dynamic. He really loved the Rakan pick in the split, but Rakan Aphelios not really a bot lane you would think of. Really likes to be paired with more of these kind of scaling, neutralizing supports, which lets him get to the phase where he's really strong.
So what else are we going to see here from Top Esports? Because I love the change and the adaptation. Remember, they've been playing on this patch throughout playoffs already, and for Top Esports and JDG, they've made a big adaptation here already in Game 1. The Morgana's going to be taken away.
So we actually haven't seen Chocho play Thresh, but I checked his solo queue. He's been spamming that champion.
Really?
Pairs very well with the Aphelios. Of course, you have that Lantern to pull him to safety, and that could be the hijinks, right? You take out Uyanja, you know his Thresh will be banned. You put in Chocho, you get that champion anyway.
Well, because he doesn't have Leona, he doesn't have his Braum. I mean, he's getting to that point where it's like, all right, let's go down the list and let's start being a bit more experimental. Let's go towards something that a lot of teams have paired together, especially Jackie Love and Uyanja, as you mentioned.
And again, it would just make a ton of sense here. Good to see that from him. You have a lot of pick potential coming from both the Thresh and the Lissandra on the side of Top Esports. But now for JDG, this does open a lot of shenanigans. You can go for something like that Blitzcrank that they were showing.
Dude, it's Lumao.
Exactly.
It's Lumao. So, like, if you talk about shenanigans, Blitzcrank fits in there nicely. We'll see. We've got 10 seconds to decide.
And right now they actually do lock in the Yuumi. It's quite a strange pick because, I mean, you hook in Misfortune, you end up getting both a 2-for-1 special. And again, right now I feel like you're happy if you're TES.
So JDG, you're like, okay, then we have to pick up our jungler. How do you round this comp out?
You have the Yuumi going with that Olaf would be very good. You have a lot of early pressure and skirmishing. And again, we talked about how TES love playing through this early game. You draft these strong early champions and really deny them their strength. Things look good for JDG.
But then if we talk about strong picks for Top Esports, I mean, Karsa's Lee Sin. The world knows that Karsa's Lee Sin is one of the best out there.
Yeah, he's just kept going towards his pick in playoffs. It's looked like one of his best champions. And one thing I can tell you from these drafts straight away, we're going to have a lot of action in this first game.
Okay, well, I love action. I mean, I came into this one going, okay, Top Esports, the strength throughout lanes. JDG, the cleanliness of their play. But how does it interact? And already in Game 1, the drafts have shown us that this interaction is quite unique. Now, talk me through Top Esports a little bit here because I see the full-on gauge potential with Jackie Love having free roam.
It's actually pretty interesting because we've known TS as this team that loves to gank top. When you look at this draft, it's all about going mid, pairing up with Knight, and then transitioning that into the bot lane and not letting this Yuumi get out of hand.
Where I look on the other side and I say, okay, JDG, it does kind of facilitate the play that we've seen before. Zoom on his most played champion in the Ornn, Yagao on his most successful champion in the LeBlanc as well.
I was going to say, on the side of JDG, it's all about facilitating Kanavi once again. You do have some pressure there in the 2v2 as well, but when you have something like a Yuumi, you really want to abuse the spot lane.
The Kanavi versus Karsa matchup, they were looking at it on the Chinese side there. They were looking at how these jungles match up, and while the stats favor Kanavi, you have to remember that Karsa here is a 6-time champion. 4 times in the LMS, twice here in the LPL, both in 2018. On RNG.
And that's the interesting thing because we already talked about how a final can really change the way you play. Karsa has been in a final many, many times before.
That's right.
So you would give the edge of experience over to him.
Hey, MSI champion here as well for 2018 and even going towards Worlds up to the quarterfinals for RNG in the same year. So Karsa has his success and Kanavi is building his legacy here in the LPL. He only played 10 individual games last year. This is his first full split. And on the side of JDG, he got the MVP, he tore up Spring, and is looking like the best jungler here. Looking to lead JDG to victory. See if Karsa has anything to say about it here on Top Esports, the moment before we go into the grand final.
Hey guys, it's JRPK. I just want to wish the best of luck to Top Sports for the finals this weekend.
Cheers.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Summoner's Rift here. The LPL, it has been such a long split. 146 series of best of 3s, 7 best of 5s, and now this grand final in front of us. Finally, our championship contenders come to this point. JDG or Top Esports, we will have a new LPL champion here in 2020 spring with Game 1 before us.
Honestly, it's really exciting, but also kind of sad if you think about it that it's going to be over after today, Hysterics.
Oh, why did you say that? No, we should be looking happy into this first series. At the very least, we've gotten to the grand final. The 4 of us have really grinded this one out, and on the English broadcast again, it's a big thank you to everyone who's been watching because now, at the ultimate moment, we get our 2 best teams of spring going head-to-head with, again, drafts that we talked about in Pick Ban, seeing very iconic of what these teams have been doing throughout the split.
Yeah, and, you know, we talked about we should look at the positive, look for something that's exciting. The exciting thing about this game is we should expect to see a lot of attention paid towards the mid lane, especially if you're a fan of TS. That always spells out for something good, but kind of interesting we didn't get a level 1 invade coming out from JDG when you have the Yuumi and the Olaf instead of opting into standard starts. And I actually really like this path from Kanavi, going to lead down towards that bottom side.
You talked in Pick a Banner about how JDG want to play around Kanavi. Kanavi's been the most dominant jungler. It's been all about him. We're looking at some trading here in the top laners. Yeah, that's right, folks. There's also a win streak on the top laner of JDG. And while we're talking up Kanavi, 19 games in a row since Zoom has returned in the LPL.
I don't even want to use the term win streak because this split he is undefeated. You know, that cannot be overstated. He's done so well. Again, they made beating FPX look easy.
I mean, the world champions of last year, right? We expected it to be close, and a 3-0 is what came out of JDG. As one side, there's a win streak, not win streak, if we don't want to quote it, as Zoom's going to take a massive trade. But on the other side, you look at someone like Jackie Love, who also returning to this roster for the side of Top Esports, brings out a bit of a win streak as well. But Kanavi, as you mentioned, now on the top side.
This is the thing that's pretty interesting because, again, we talked about how both of these junglers really want to enable their bot lane. Of course, Set is going to get early push in this matchup, so Kanavi looking for his chance. We've always known Kanavi's the player who likes to gank top.
And he's wrapped around here on the Tri-Brush. 369 has the flash available, has to burn it early. The undertow lands, but straight away Kanavi in control this early game.
And great gank coming out from him. We know that TS love to help get 369 set up early on and kind of giving Zoom a lot of room to work with, where maybe now 369 has to force out a TP. You now can try and get TP advantage. You can try and start moving Zoom over towards the mid lane once he does hit that level 6 point.
But this is interesting because Kasa has pinged that he's actually going to be coming top for a response onto Zoom.
And it's really good because the wave is bouncing back for 369, and we all saw how this went up against IG. Karsa just continuously coming towards the top lane.
Good Bellows breath onto the face breaker though, and Karsa can't land the Sonic Wave, so that's easy for Zoom. He doesn't lose too much, and the wave ends up pushing as well.
But one thing I want to turn our attention to is that bottom lane, where we already see Jackie Love opening up a pretty big CS advantage. And again, once you're at this point in the lane, Yuumi and Misfortune are going to be under constant threat from that hook, and it's really going to be about who can make their way down first.
We're looking at multiple winning lanes here, of course, across the board for Top Esports. A lot about the identity, but I know we're really highlighting our players coming through here as well. For Yagao, 9 games played, and he hasn't lost either. There's a big highlight on the solo lanes of JDG, which is always nice when you're going up against a lane-dominated team like Top Esports.
And especially highlighting the LeBlanc against the Lissandra. It's not really a winning lane for the Lissandra. The word neutralizing fits a lot more. LeBlanc's still going to have her windows where Olaf can come mid. You can set up these kills. You'll be able to rotate the side lanes easily. But of course, Lissandra will always have this TP to match.
Well, you talked about how we're looking towards Kanavi to come towards this mid lane as well. For the time being, Yagao has been forced back a little bit here, has the teleport to come back in, but the wave's pushing up. In fact, cancels it at the last moment. Glacial Path to get away from Knight. He has a nice time to reset here as well, 42 to about 31 CS and counting.
You know, and I feel like the kind of pace of the game so far has been pretty good for JDG. Of course, we're only 5 minutes in, but not a lot of action happening. You got one summoner from TES, and you're going to feel really good if this bottom lane gets time to hit that level 6 power spike.
Before you mentioned how the comps interact, what about in terms of like how we scale, the leads that need to be built up here? Because Top Esports already have about 800 gold under their belt. How they transition in the mid game, and how does that accelerate throughout the game one?
Yeah, so TS are really playing a pick comp. You don't have any, right? You don't have like the Call of the Forge God on your side. All of your lockdown is dependent on Chocho hitting a death sentence or Knight finding a good flank.
Okay.
So I actually favor the formation in the late game on the side of JDG. You have a lot of peeling potential from the Yuumi. You have a lot of long-range damage coming out from both the LeBlanc and the bullet time. You also have the Call of the Forge God yourselves. So
true. That's right. And when you consider the Ornn upgrades that can come through as well, especially for someone like Yagao, then potential is definitely there. So I'll keep an eye on that as we progress through this game. I know that our win conditions throughout this series will change massively here. These two teams have been able to diversify their drafts, probably the most in the LPL throughout the regular season. I'm going to pause on that for now, because Karsa has started up on the Infernal Drake down the bottom lane. He was spotted out by a Scrying Orb previously, and Kanavi is here.
And Zoom has TP. He's at base getting all of his mana back up if JDG want to contest.
Teleport's actually going to be used, so I guess the answer, Lyric, is going to be yes, but too late. Dragon's going to be taken away. Zoom says, where's the money? And Top Esports win out.
Yeah, that's pretty disappointing from JDG where, you know, Kanavi didn't want to overextend too much, but they set up that early play. We talked about how they'd most likely end up with the TP advantage, and in the end, does nothing for them. They still have to blow it. Now 369 going to be able to get a bit of an advantage for himself.
Yeah, the wave pushing against him here, just happily sitting back with a 10 CS lead. And Zoom spotted walking all the way back up to re-enter his lane. Note that CS lead in the top side, again reiterating mid lane with a 10 CS lead too. You mentioned JackeyLove in the early game. Loken has stabilized that a bit, and both AD carries now have a bit of a BF sword in pocket.
And an interesting thing I want to see is we see on the map right now, Loken and Luma going back to lane. Yumi's not the type of champion who can really roam and look to interact with the rest of the map, to where Thresh, of course, is a champion that loves doing that, can look to set up picks in the mid lane with both Knight and Karsa. You have a ton of damage coming out. And what I want to see next is if they can commit to some sort of Herald play without having to bring JackeyLove up.
Isn't it ironic, though? You talk about Chocho's ability to roam, where for Lumao, he was one of the best roaming supports in the LPL in the past. That's why things like the Fiddlesticks, the Bard are also under his wing. But here on the Yuumi, sticking around with Loken. And if you're talking about Rift Herald, we got 25 seconds so that spawns up towards the top side. Vision controlled by JDG, and the bottom wave actually pushing in, so whether they do or don't have to roam the bottom lane.
Exactly. Things look great for TS. Their mids pushing in, 369 controlling the wave very well. We just see them push in, so TS can just head up and take this, what could end up uncontested.
I mean, a leisurely stroll is what we'll call it here from JackeyLove and Chocho. They're taking in the sights as they walk through, mid-wave pushing up as well. And we saw before for 369 slowly pushing back top lane as well, and with an even more sizable CS advantage. So for Top Esports, this is screaming control here in the first 10 minutes of game one.
Yeah, but JDG actually are going to look to contest. Okay. We've actually seen JDG do this a lot where they rotate a bit late, don't actually look to take the objective, but get a much better position for a team fight. And we do have that call of the Forge God up.
He also talked about Kanavi now. I'm looking towards him. Chain's going to land on a Knight. He's half health and has to run away. Ritual getting over all 5 members. Concrete and getting the Herald secured as JackeyLove now walking up towards Zoom. Good call, the Forge God onto Knight. He gets low. Zoom looking for an angle here, but onto Knight, who uses the Glacial Prison onto herself. The charge comes through with the kick from Karsa. Holy moly. The flank now comes through as 369 pulls in Kanavi. One more hit. JackeyLove flushes forward, and the first blood of the grand final goes to JKL.
And that looked great. It's so massive for the fact that JackeyLove does have his ultimate for this fight. It's just like we talked about, JDG just letting them have the objective, getting a better position for the team fight, but TS having more tools come out ahead.
I swear Karsa's leg is covered in butter because Zoom just slid and then got kicked to the side. That was absolutely gorgeous to watch. For Top Esports now with a 1K gold lead here at 9 minutes, they picked up the Herald, they picked up the earlier Dragon, and they've got so many lanes now that are in great position.
And with this Herald, we really want to see them start accelerating JackeyLove. He is the big late game damage dealer on your team. And even though your comp is going to depend a bit on kind of finding these picks, you're always going to have side lane threat with the set.
Yeah.
And you are in a position where you can really try to get some things done.
And especially when you talked about, okay, in the late game, you know, JackeyLove does have that influence as well. We know what Aphelios does, but more importantly, we know what JackeyLove does. BF Sword Berserker Greaves picked up after his first blood, so he's got a bit of gold in his back pocket. And he's still controlling this bottom lane, as we talked about, with Dragon coming up in 120.
And it's been so great for them with no junglers really interacting with the bot lane at all, so they just constantly get to push with the kill threat coming out from this duo. And with Dragon coming up in 1 minute, you're going to think having this pushing bot lane, we already see Knight has picked up his Proto Belt.
Yep.
Top should be in a very good position to get vision for the straight.
And Knight almost has the ult up available. Remember, there are a couple of summoners Burt, Knight included in that first blood. JackeyLove doesn't have either of his, nor does Chocho. So I guess the one advantage here is that Yagal has flash, Loken has flash, to set up some big key plays in front of this next objective.
And the thing we've already talked about is we want to see JDG play a bit from a range with the distortion coming out from the LeBlanc, with the bullet time coming in from the Misfortune, hopefully set up by a great call of the Forge God from Zoom. And as long as you have your jungle swept out, Knight should really have no way of going in, and you shouldn't feel any threat from JDG to engage.
Yeah, seeing the prediction on the Glacial Path, really important to Lissandra, remember. If you see where Knight's coming from, you can avoid the path as you just mentioned from Knight. So Kasa right now pathing through the mid lane himself. Knight has the shove here once again onto the top of Yagao. Aftershock is a bit of a pain here, but Double Chain's going to come through while Kasa says it's safeguard time into Sonic Wave, but he's not going to take the resonating strike, and Knight will just walk away free. Wow, what's happening up here? Teleport being used as Zoom is like, I'm getting collapsed upon. Knight was low at half health, but now locks down. The Bellows Breath not available for Zoom, but the call the Forge God is. Knight is pretty low, but at the right time, the showstopper used, and down Zoom will go.
It's actually really interesting that they go for this topside play when they just got all of the setup for Dragon, but still great kill coming out, and it's going to set you up for hopefully what is an Ocean Soul.
Oh, okay.
And there we go.
We like Ocean Soul here. Well said, Mr. Lyric, the best of the souls on Summoner's Rift. And if we're talking about setup yet again, and when you talked about the side lane control that can come through from this set, 369 with Blade of the Ruin King is really accelerated here in the early game.
Exactly. He's going to do really great just matching up into Zoom in the sides. We've already said how if he does want to come in for a team fight, he needs to look for a flank regardless or rely on someone on his team setting him up. So I really like this build coming out from him. And it's always going to give TS a point of pressure to try to turn that into vision for an objective.
Okay, well, if we mention objectives yet again here, 4 minutes 20 till the next one, but this, more importantly, is Rift Herald up in top side. Kasa giving more gold to 369. Zoom is up here without an ult, without a real big way to deter. More gold in the back pocket of this already 30 CS lead on 369.
And I actually love the way that TS are playing this because they're not only going for this split map play. We saw their bot lane safely recalled knowing, hey, Kanavi can be on our side of the jungle. We don't want to get dove. And they're actually going to head to the mid lane and just full-on pressure the top side of the map.
Really stereotypical top esports play. Strength to the solo lanes here from Kasa. Knight and 369 get a second charge on the inner turret. And look at JDG. They're saying we're going to commit to the bottom lane here with Loken and Lumao, try and get some turret plating ourselves, but Jackulov and Chocho rotate in the meantime. And the rotation, to use that word a third time, doesn't stop towards the mid lane.
And the better part is, now they have tempo heading towards the mid lane so they can threaten even more plates. We see Karsa behind.
I mean, this is huge, Lyric. What an early start for top.
It's funny because we saw this as the Brain versus Brawn matchup, but TS playing out the macro game so well so far.
And they've got a bit of Brawn on their side as well. I can see them flexing right now. 3K gold lead this early game.
And this is how we always differentiated them from other teams that play through individual skill. Teams like, let's say, Suning or IG is that when it comes to essentially transitioning into mid-game, TS have always looked, not always, but since Jackulov's come in, always looked really good at this.
The voice that they needed, the voice of reason, but also the voice of consistency, right? And Jackulov as well brings that individual flair that we saw in IG.
Kind of getting back into the minutiae of the game, especially now that Yagao hasn't been able to find an advantage on this LeBlanc, we're actually going to see that TS are going to be able to control both side lanes and just consistently look to roam towards that mid lane and try and set up a pick, especially with all the CC coming out from Knight.
Do you need to start itemizing towards Yagao then? Because you expect 369 to be the one to match.
Yeah. I feel like you're fine just itemizing for the team as a whole. You're already up. You already have the Proto Belt. So again, you're looking to kind of split the maps, create these small team fights with your Lissandra.
Okay. But meanwhile, Castle's going to be starting on this second Rift Herald. Taking everything here as a whole Chocho. It was about half a second from capturing the Yuumi in Lumao. It was a very dangerous place to back, but after that, after seeing the cat back with another Herald on the cards and control of mid, top esports are looking to accelerate this and continue the ball rolling.
And TS are going to have a really easy time using this Herald for the fact that they control both sides, because you can just look to reset right now, get back on the map, put down new vision, help Knight push out, rotate mid, drop that Herald, and bam, mid turret is open. You now have full control of the map.
Look across the board. I mean, again, expectations set here that JDG, with the way they came through the semi-finals, that JDG was looking like the cleaner team right now. Where do the options lie? Because just coming back to what you said at the start of the game with Kanavi, who wanted to play through mid, well, there hasn't been much jungle interaction, nor has there been much jungle interaction from Kanavi and Kasa.
Yeah, it's really interesting where you do have set up in a lot of your lanes, but of course Kanavi's on Olaf, so he can just look to power farm and try to be stronger in the skirmishes. But for Karsa, he just knows, hey, all of my lanes are winning, all of my lanes are pushing. I can just focus on neutrals and try to come out ahead in these skirmishes. It's worked out well for him.
What he's been doing is about half a level ahead, now sitting with JackeyLove and Chocho in the mid lane. Remember that Rift Herald is in his back pocket. And Loken and Lumao don't have that much in the ways of wave clear right now either. Herald's going to go down. 3 members stay mid. Side lanes under that keyword again, control. And here it comes.
Yep, they're going to be able to pick up this one very easily. And now Yagao's going to feel a lot of pressure in that bottom lane since now TS can just hover towards that side. And going back to something you've already talked about a little bit, the Lissandra build, we do see her going for that Zhonya's because she knows she's one of the main engagers in this composition where, again, really your only other option is at that sentence.
When you look towards the consistent damage that's going to come through from Loken as well, it's going to help a bunch. As Cartha over the wall, getting a bit cheeky. Double chain comes through. The auto won't be enough, of course. Dark Passage from Chocho, but he might have just exposed himself. Has to flash over the wall. And JDG feels like they got something right in front of the next objective.
Yeah, great job by JDG. A bit greedy by Karsa. He knew that Yagao was there. He's the one that forced him back, getting chunked out, but great job from the other members. Now, it doesn't matter that 369 is full pressure topside. You could look to TP, force Zoom to TP, make him lose CS, because guess what? JDG get the Dragon.
And remember, it's a 4K gold lead, so for top esports, they give away anything. JDG are going to start taking some of these bounties, start clearing away some more of these fed members. And when we mentioned the Ocean Soul before, that's 2 dragons away for JDG. So this is a grand final setting. Nerves always kick in here. This is the first grand final for top esports, second for JDG. Looking for our brand new contender in spring.
And despite the fact that we said JDG have been in this position before and TS haven't, you have a world champion and MSI champion on your side.
Yep.
Again, these two have so much experience being in positions like this before, and especially when you have JackeyLove on that Aphelios, we've all seen what Aphelios can do in the later stages of the game.
And Lyric, I promised I wouldn't talk about it. I said that was it in the semifinals. I said I'd leave it at the door, but yes, I know the experience especially comes through from that champion. However, at this point, I want you to notice that it is first item for first item. We're getting to the point where the next dragon will be up in 4 minutes. We've got a Baron spawning in 2. JackeyLove and Chocho have been sitting mid with Infinity Edge of Felios. That SS3 is still on Loken.
And mid is really going to be the place where we want to look for JDG to try to get back in this game. You know, we have about a 4K gold advantage for TS, but we see Karsa doing a great job of shadowing for his strong side in Knight. So if I'm JDG, Zoom has to say, okay, I'm going to give up some side waves to 369, going to back and walk straight mid and try to force this straight 5v5 or numbers advantage fight.
Important to see that clean respect from 369, right? Backs all the way to the turret. Going to be spotted on a deep ward that's put in here. Kanavi now going to be clearing it away, but 369 has already backed. Pings are getting spammed. Top esports are like, okay, let's race them. We have 4.
Yeah, and both teams right now just playing around their strong side, but TS having such a massive tempo advantage. Great recall coming out from 369.
Just to clear the wave here, Lyric. Call the Forge God will do exactly that, and that slows the tempo, importantly enough.
Exactly, it worked, but still, it is a tier 1 for tier 2 trade. So TS are going to feel really good for this, especially when they're the team that has pressure in sides.
Are going to be going down. JDG at least getting something here, right? At this point, Karsa, as you mentioned, still shadowing there, and they've enabled really deep vision on that red side. You can see the control wards throughout. As Karsa returns, Aftershock means, yes, you're going to have Demolish in your kit. That's 200 gold a piece here, going down on top esports. Again, that gold now at 5,000, 320 minutes. This is a grand final. This is game 1 of the grand final, and top esports are making it look clinical so far.
And I love a second ago that you pointed out all that deep vision in the bottom half of the map. Of course, the teams did trade sides, but JDG's comp is not at a point where it can just look to do some kind of rush Baron. So having all that vision topside doesn't mean all that much, and the next neutral we do plan to look for is that next dragon.
Which JDG picked up the last 2, right? So that last one through mistake of Karsa, where JDG found an opening, which is great. I need you to reiterate for me, Lyric, here, because we are in a very important game setting. For JDG, it's about slowing the pace at this point, or do you need to look for these picks here to kind of find your way back in this one?
We want to see JDG, again, give up whatever side Zoom's trying to contest. You wait for 369 to go to that bot lane. You just walk straight mid, try to open up a fight with that Call of the Forge God. Whether it forces out a TP from 369 or you can get a full-on pick, that's really what JDG need to rely on at this point. Because, again, we're talking about scaling and things like this. TS have a 4K gold lead, right? So any fight, any 5v5 fight that happens right now, TS should just be expected to come out ahead.
Especially when you're not going to expect too much damage coming out of this Warlock at this point. We're Loken as well, but hang on. It's a Felios. He has shurikens. Knight's going to be passing through. Kanavi now going to spot him out. The Baron at half health. Remember, Knight just used the Glacial Path. The Jackie Love getting out of the back of the pit. Knight is locked on down here. He uses the 2 onto himself. Exhausted away, flashes away as well. But the kick comes through from Caster. The re-engage, call the Forge God. You wanted to see it. It's on top for Caster. And JDG right back with the bullet time lined up. 369, a very late TP. He gets zoomed into the backline, but he doesn't die. Flashes away while Knight has no mana here. Yagao says thank you for the slow, and Knight says thank you for the dark passage over the wall. 4 versus 4 here. Chocho gets 1 shot, and Jackie Love slowed on down. Loken consistent, flashes himself. 80 carry blood, finds his victim here. 369 under the turret will get close, but he can only watch as his team crumbles.
Still, that's a massive win for the side of JDG, but this isn't over.
Okay, we expected some blood. Now we're finally getting it. It's going to end there. Knight does TP to the mid lane to help get the shove. This is up the solo lane.
Exactly. That was a great TP coming from Knight to create this tempo advantage, meaning that TS get to turn towards Dragon first. So all those picks not amounting to much in the end. But this is so strange from TS when we said they're fine waiting for that next Dragon, getting the setup. They don't need to force it sort of Baron play and give JDG a good angle to find and engage on them. Zoom, of course, coming in first. Great call of the Forge God. Knight has already blown absolutely everything. So the rest of this is pretty easy from the side of JDG.
I mean, you set it up so well, Lyric. You wanted to see Zoom there first, essentially, and there he was. 369 TPs in later.
Well, and we said we wanted to see JDG have to be in a position where they need to go first, where they need to give up sideways. They didn't really need to give up anything because TS gave them that.
And now we're at a point where, okay, gold may still be up there, but for JDG, you see how this composition starts to work. You see what happens now that Zoom draws the attention and damage from the side of top esports. And JDG, like Yagao and Loken, able to free move through the fights. 2-1-1 now in the Misfortune with an Infinity Edge. Almost second item here for Yagao as well with the Oblivion Orb. Let's see if that gets upgraded. I know a long story about that one, but we'll see.
But moving over to the other side, we also see that Jackie Love has both of his items, and this is the big point where Aphelios starts becoming such a menace in these team fights. Moving up to the top side, we see the upgraded Iceborne Gauntlet for Zoom, just saying, hey, Knight's damage is not really going to be a factor. As long as I could survive Jackie Love, we can win these fights.
He's also level 14, so that means the Molten Edge comes through for Loken on top of that as well. So we're starting to get these ornaments coming through from the top laner of JDG. Also want to note, while we are talking top laners, in that last fight, 369 did find some success and also has his second item, plus the building towards the Dead Man's Plate first.
Yeah, and everything looking pretty standard item-wise, and now we're at a point where, again, if this was maybe another region, you could say, okay, there's going to be a lull in the game, we're going to wait for Dragon once again, but we saw what happened last time, and both teams do have sides that they can play around. Again, we want to see JDG playing around this pressure from Yagao, and for TS, it's all about Karsa and Knight.
Look towards Caster and Knight when they first came into the split. Expectations weren't there. I'm going to pause on that, because Knight and Caster are going to meet up here with Kanavi and Lumao, and just on a different note, we are now seeing the Yuumi roam around with Kanavi.
Yeah, and it's actually really great to see them applying this pressure because Yagao does have TP advantage over 369, so he's always able to follow if JDG are able to force something. 369 can be stuck down in that bot lane.
Right now, just waiting for someone to react, but everyone's here. Caster in a, I guess, a flanking position as Knight just gets hit pretty hard. Glacial Path to help clear out the wave while Caster now shows himself, but Knight burnt out like that means mid-turret could just be gone, or maybe at least a setup towards Dragon.
And this is really good from JDG Hysterics because we talked about how JDG want to find these advantages from a range, right? Have LeBlanc poke in. Maybe if you can find either a Q from Yuumi or if Zoom is there, Call of the Forge God, setting up a big bullet time from Loken, dealing all the damage before Knight or Chocho or 369 are even able to get close to you.
All right, Lyric, 25 minutes in this game. At this point, Top Esports still the lead there here in Game 1 of the Grand Finals. 25 minutes means at this point, we're still sitting with Baron, but we're coming towards the third and the Soul Point Dragon here in 2 minutes' time.
And we actually see a lot of teams neglect dragons that aren't exactly the Soul, but I think picking up Soul Point is massive and gives you such a advantage in pressure, how you can force around the map because the team just think, oh god, we cannot give this up, and it gives you a lot of avenues around playing for either other objectives like top lane turrets or Baron, etc.
If we talk about ignoring objectives, like in the past, JDG have been that team where it's like, okay, we'll ignore the Baron, we'll go for Elder, right? We're happy to make trades here. because we know what we can do when we apply the pressure.
Pretty smart trade for those objectives as well, but that's what I love about JDGs. We'll see them, it's a bit of a mistake because we see them give up mid-wave a lot.
Okay, there's the showstopper. Zoom is pretty tanky, but he knows he has Knight on the way. The Prism locked on down. Teleport's going to be coming in, but will Zoom still be alive? He survives long enough. TP's here. It's Yagao on top of Knight. The ultimate to come through. Zoom's still alive. They've used everything here on the tank, and now with the knockup, now locked on down, 369 will fall to his demise. Yagao looking for Knight still. Over the wall, he'll find himself with the Glacial Path. Yagao, not too much mana here, but over the wall, again, Kanavi runs into Knight, and the rest of the team enabling Kanavi was the condition, and this guy's ready to roll. Jackulov with his escape bolty, but JDG keep finding picks.
Yeah, JDG could have a very good setup to try to get this mid lane turret and then probably turn that into a dragon. You are all a bit low, so looking for something like a Baron while Aphelios and Karsa are still alive would be a bit hasty, but hey, we've seen JDG be hasty before.
If you could bait it in, Yagao could find something. Karsa found out here with the undertow yet again. This Yuumi Olaf is so punishing. Karsa slowed down, and away he goes.
And I love what JDG are doing here, just pushing in this wave. They're going to get some vision control down, still finding the poke. And now it's all about the reset timings because guess what? Dragon's up in 20 seconds, but you'd think that TS should be able to get here first. They're still on the map.
Still on the map, but not going there yet. We'll have a look at this one because Zoom just takes so long to die.
Yeah, and just great play from him. We do see Knight coming down. He's doing a great job surviving. And here we actually see the rest of TS peeling towards topside, expecting JDG just to commit to a full-on map split. But JDG say, hey, we don't need to do that. Yagao is TP. The rest of our members rotate first. And we see it pans out so well.
Dude, Ornn is a tank assassin everything, right? Like, this is just the story of Ornn, the master of all. And for Zoom, a nice heal from Loken to keep him alive rather than Yuumi. As we look towards bottom lane, we're fighting again, the bullet time used. And Jackie Love's like, someone help me, call the Forge God. Means no. Whoa. He gets clapped by Zoom with a massive shutdown. And JDG say enough is enough. The kick backwards here. They've kiked it backwards here as well. But Loken with a kill on the other side while Karsa's just trying to live. Around to the side, Sonic Wave, resonating strike. Zoom finally dies. It was a slide and dice that time around. But JDG still came out on top with a 3-for-1.
And what a massive engage by Zoom. This is why he does so well on this Ornn pick. And things looked a bit dicey for me when we saw Loken's bullet time pretty much completely whiff. But it went back to what you said about Ornn pretty much being an assassin, deleting Jackie Love and giving JDG the teamfight win.
And now we got pings on the Baron here. Jackie Love up in 5 seconds, but Karsa's not here for 15. Yagao's coming in, and this Baron going down quick enough. JDG, not only are they back in the game, they're in the driver's seat. They kicked Top Esports out of the car.
And this has been absolutely amazing to see. JDG fell behind 4,000 gold.
Dude, it was like 5 or 6 almost,
yeah,
right?
But TS giving them the opportunities, all pretty much starting from that one rushed Baron. But here we see it. Again, Zoom coming in for this TP, finds the engage onto Jackie Love. And again, this bullet time from Loken doesn't do much. You do force out the flash, but ooh, I actually missed that. Yagao doing a ton of damage to Jackie Love as well. And now the members of TS are just split up. You have this 3-man squad dealing with 369, and you've already seen how tanky Zoom is. Kanavi just enabled by that, able to try and find these kills.
When JDG are grouped up, Lyric, it just feels like JDG are the smoother team. Even when they're separated in the middle of the fight, communication's still there. So for JDG now, they have the gold lead in this game. Well, I mean, what a great start.
This is also why I said when it comes to scaling, I do favor JDG when it comes to the formation that these team fights are going to take, right? It's a lot harder to play out TS's comp, and like, because all of your damage is on Jackie Love, right?
Yeah.
It's all about enabling Jackie Love, but when you have no avenues of getting in or peeling for him other than...
Ragnarok going to come through, but that's a 3-man distortion. Bit of damage onto Yagao as well, and he's back there. LeBlanc with some shenanigans, so a good moment for Top Esports. You still see what the earlier gold has done. But JDG with Baron, they run right back to the mid wave. They're pushing in for inner now after taking the outer, and that gold's accelerated to 2K.
And let's remember that Kanavi is Olaf. He can just go press W on some camp. He will be full HP. And now it's about seeing Zoom push out that bot side and roam mid like he's doing now. Again, you always have the threat of Call of a Forge God, and these distortions coming in from the Yagao are so clutch.
The Ornn, who earlier in lane wasn't that influential, but has started becoming the core here for JDG. As he's moved to mid-wave, JDG are pushing now with all 5 members. Top Esports respect that. They back away. 369 now groups up as well.
And this is what I love about JDGs. They have such a good understanding of like their comp and their win conditions, knowing, hey, we don't need to leave Zoom in the side lane. Let's roam mid. We see Yagao constantly trying to not burst, but poke down the targets from TS, making it so they have to back, and then JDG can just take the structure themselves for free.
There is enough of a death sentence there from Chocho, but maybe the sentence comes back from JDG. Enough wave clear, I was going to say, from Shakulov here with the Infernum, but thank you. They're going to push forward anyway. Inhibitor now exposed, and when JDG accelerate, they really accelerate.
It's looked so good, and like you said, we're pretty much 3K gold in the lead, and now Soul Point, this is going to be the big point, the big testing grounds for Top Esports, and dragging up in a minute and a half, so we're going to see JDG get their side lanes in order, get those resets, start getting vision down for the Drake, and we're pretty much going to be at the deciding team fight.
If we get to the Ocean Soul at the very least, and Top Esports don't want to fight, that feels like they're going to slowly die out from there. You mentioned how this game progresses and how much easier it is for JDG to use these multiple damage sources and how relevant Zoom has and will become. Where Top Esports, it's looking pretty hard now, but it ain't over just yet. It's only game one. And for Top Esports, you got to look at the key items that have been picked up with Knight, who Banshee's Valzonya's Hourglass. If he can kill Loken, if he can get Yagao, these fights look pretty winnable for Top.
Yeah, but it's going to be pretty tough to just get on them again. Loken's always going to have Lumao right on top of him, giving him all the heals he needs, so bursting him out is going to be pretty hard. And if you're Knight and you're going into JDG, that leaves Jakula very vulnerable, and you'll only have Chocho peeling for him.
Yagao, let's not forget, 9 out of 9 wins on this champion, right? That's what we started saying this game. And I was like, oh my god, Yagao with his first loss on LeBlanc, maybe not.
I'm pretty disappointed in the fact that JDG banned out Syndra, but TS did ban out LeBlanc, because give me the skill matchup between these longtime friends.
But, I mean, like, we got the Knight says, I'm going to neutralize this time around. And we did get earlier influence from Knight, especially towards those earlier fights as well. We're just watching JDG run across this map and accelerate this lead. A TP now behind. Yagao's not being spotted out for Ocean Soul. It's a response TP as well.
Yeah, 369 would be so clutch, but what?
The Dragon's just gone. This is what I said. Ocean Soul is gone, and 369 is running. This running man is going to get rammed here by a Norse god. Over the wall he flashes, and 369 looking like Angel right now.
That call was so confusing, so indecisive by TS, where they were posturing like they wanted to contest. We see the TP come out, and then we see Jakula going, oh, I need to go answer this topside wave. Now, how are you ever going to kill Zoom, or even Kanavi, or any member that Yumi's on top of?
BT, QSS, and even before the Mercurial Scimitar.
And Yumi.
And Yumi, and an Ocean Soul. And as I've said many times in many other broadcasts, Ocean Soul wins games. Very often do you see teams win against it. And from an early game where Top Esports looked so clean, so crisp, JDG have found these fights. They've walked back into this game one. And now they're looking like they're the ones who are finding opportunities to try and close this one out.
And it's going to be even better for Yagao to just keep poking his head in these siege scenarios, whittling him down little by little. And again, Loken should feel so fine to even just walk up aggressively in these fights because he has Lumao heals, he has the Ocean Soul.
Yeah. I mean, he's just doing it right now,
right? Like you said, Bloodthirster as well, right?
Yeah.
How is he ever going to lose HP?
How will you kill the Misfortune? Kanavi's like, bro, you remember me from the early game? And it took some time, but now here I am. Dodges away from the death sentence. Walking in 1 versus 3 because Zoom walks down. And Frank the tank here, the Ornn, is going to help Yagao. It's called the Forge God going to come through. That's going to get a 2-man knockup on the back end. Everyone running forward. JDG, Zoom finds a 2-man knockup. The bullet time in the choke. Everyone to go invulnerable. But that just means Top Esports are delaying the inevitable while 369 is watching his team burn. Flush over the wall. Yagao feeling it now. Jakula will do the exact same. And JDG can only run forward. The searing charge as well. Knight against the Nexus. From 0 to hero and 12:30. Top Esports getting charged down. A double kill over to Loken. 5-1 and 4. He says this game is mine. Lyric, this went pretty damn fast, pretty quick as JDG challenged Top Esports to take game one.
It ended out of absolutely nowhere with Zoom leading the charge.
I don't know how my heart could take more of this, because that was so back and forth. And at least for JDG, coming out and showing us why they're in this position to take that game 1.
Well, and we saw kind of the good from both teams. We saw TS picking up those lanes that they feel comfortable in, getting the early game advantage.
Yep.
But then this is also why Munchables called JDG the smartest team in the LPL, because they took such advantage of the mistakes from TS and snowballed it so quickly.
In the battle of brain over brawn, it was a lot of the brain for top esports to start us off. But then the brawn showed, and the brains came back for JDG. And I have to say there, like, the compositions that you laid out so nicely really came into fruition for JDG, and we could see how they accelerated the game to finish off. And this does look like a competitive grand final, but if JDG ever get an inch in the game, they take the full mile.
And we saw that even from the stats that were highlighted before with their Baron turnover, right? Getting 4,000 gold from that. So we see now, if you even make one small misstep, JDG are just going to end the game. And we saw 369's flank at the end. They did not expect that.
They haven't lost a game with Zoom. They haven't lost a game on Ygal's LeBlanc. He's now 10-0 on that champion, and Zoom is now 17-0. No, sorry, 20-0. He just keeps going up and up. And at this point, I have to say, for JDG to turn that one around when it looks doomed was mighty impressive.
And also really impressive to see some of these picks come out like the Yuumi out of nowhere, having full confidence in their bottom lane to, you know, not feel pressured from the kill lane, from Thresh, knowing, hey, our comp can play out these late game team fights much better.
Yep.
And again, they pulled it off.
I know there's a lot to dissect here, and you know, when we do get to that point of breaking down game 1, we'll delve into it a bit deeper. But at this point, for top esports, I mean, that's a confidence break. I was looking for a word for it. It feels like the confidence there from top esports was shattered in a moment. And 369, who was playing out the early skirmishes quite decently, then suddenly just lost his way. These deep flanks that had no meaning, where he couldn't find his position.
And I love that you're highlighting players like 369 and even moving over to Knight as well, and either Chocho or Yuyanja. We don't know who's playing next game yet. None of them have ever been in a grand final before. Again, being down 1-0, all the pressure is now on your shoulders, and we have to see kind of how they adapt going into the next game.
Because for JDG, you have to remember that people like Zoom and Yagal last year, and yes, that is an LPL gold graph, but more importantly, that's a JDG swing here. And I said it was back and forth. It wasn't. It was top esports, and then it was JDG taking it for the rest of the game. And for Loken and Lumao, they filled their position. For Yagal and Zoom, old faithfuls here of JDG, highlighting in, I guess, yet another playoff situation.
And this just goes to show, like, TS need to respect Yagal's LeBlanc. Again, Knight and Yagal have known each other for a long time, as shown before the split. Knight actually used to be Yagal's jungler in their, like, internet cafe team, so they know each other quite well, and you need to respect this man on this champion.
I want to see what you were talking about before. I want to see the Syndra LeBlanc. I want to see the skill matchup between them. I don't want to see the neutralizing lane, because that's not Knight's style, right? We expect Knight to take maybe an unfair matchup or a matchup that can get bloody and then win it out. His individual skill is what top esports are known for. This is the team of Knight. And that game, it wasn't much about Knight. It was about whether 369 can bring Knight in, what can happen with Karsa, and then how does Jackie Love influence there. So I'm curious as to how top esports adapt after game 1.
I agree, and it's kind of interesting when we saw them find the early advantages. We said, hey, this team has done so well since Jackie Love's come in, and then their shot calling was the thing that fell apart.
Yeah, that's right. For the first time ever here, playoff situation, nerves getting maybe a bit restless here for top esports, but the recovery comes into game 2. We're going to go to a break, then return here in our grand final for that exact game.